Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this session we will validate our cluster, Windows Failover Cluster. Before proceeding further for installing SQL Server on Windows cluster, you should always validate the cluster configuration. Why? Because any failure in Windows Failover Cluster can keep your SQL Server down and inaccessible. Therefore, before going to production, please validate your cluster. For this, you can use easily Windows validation feature, cluster validation feature. We will go to Failover Cluster Manager, right? And this is our cluster. Right click and validate cluster. Click next. Please pay attention here. We have two options: run all tests, run all the tests I select. Run all tests is suitable for the case where you are just building your server for new environments. Run all tests I select. By choosing this, you can customize which test you do. Why you need this? Because if you select storage for production servers, your storage will be taken offline and online while validation, and you might experience outage. Therefore, if you are on production already and you want validation, you just select storage and click next. If you are not on production, right, you're just building server, run all tests. Click next, here we go. So test started. Usually it might take around 2 or 3 minutes depending on the server configurations. Let's wait a little. You can see here my test finished, right? Now we click on View Report. We click on Microsoft Edge. Click OK. Now you can see very beautiful cluster validation report, right? You have cluster configuration, inventory, network, storage, and system configuration categories. So here result set, right? We can see with inventory there is no problem, and with storage and others, there are some warnings, right? Warning, description, success, warning, not applicable, warning. So what does this cluster configuration mean, right? For this, we will go to cluster configuration, and you can see here list cluster core groups, different configuration groups, right? You can see, and we will go to quorum configuration. This is like warning, it is coming. So we click on validate quorum. Now we can see the cluster is not configured with a quorum witness. As a best practice, configure quorum witness to help achieve the highest availability of the cluster. So this is a warning. This is just as a best practice. It is better to achieve better high availability and to prevent any kind of outage. You had better configure quorum. So if you do not understand quorum, we will talk about this in the next session. Do not worry. But just understand that you had better have a cluster with quorum witness. Why? I will explain in the next sessions. So this is how warnings can be checked, right? Now we have only problem with cluster configuration, which is quorum. Now we will back to summary, and other parts of the cluster configuration is right? Success. So we go to top. Then we will check next network warning, right? Click network and validate network configuration. Now we can see the node is reachable from this node can by only one pair of network interface. It is possible that this network path is a single point of failure for communication with cluster. Please verify that single path is highly available or consider adding additional networks to the cluster. This is also best practice. Because node-to-node communication is very much important in cluster, right? If node-to-node communication is lost, your cluster will go down, okay? And you experience outage. If you create two networks, right, for this node-to-node communications, additional networks, if you lose one network, another network with another network nodes can communicate, okay? In this way, you increase high availability of your network. So this is just for this best practice. So that's okay. This is also best practice. We understood now. If you go back to summary, okay, we don't see other warnings, right? So now we understood what is the network related warning. So not applicable, storage not applicable. So we did not add storage, right? If you go there, for example, here, storage, right? We did not add any storage. So therefore, it is saying not applicable. So now, system configuration. This warning, it is coming. Validate storage space persistent. No disk were found on which to perform cluster validation tests. Okay, because we did not add the storage, right? So therefore, it is coming this one. So other things seems okay. So now you understood the whole cluster configurations you have, how it has been configured, whether you have a problem or not, right? Mainly here we have warnings, and we had better to resolve these warnings for best practice, okay? But if you have errors here, right? For example, and in that case, you have to resolve that error. For example, if you go to network, and in that network there is a Windows firewall configuration, right? So it will validate whether all firewalls are set correctly or not, right? If there is an error here, you should just open firewall and make sure that all firewalls, necessary firewalls, are open. Otherwise, network to node to node communication in your cluster will fail sometimes, okay? So you should be careful. So this is a validation report. So we just went very much briefly in the session, but if you want to learn how to say about this, right, about this validation report, you can just go to internet, right, and okay, understanding cluster validation tests. I'll share this in case description. If you go down, you can see this all categories which we discussed, right? For example, if you go to network tests, right, it will explain what does each category mean, each parts of this network test mean, okay? You can refer to this documentation, okay? So now, so to summarize, I have all the warnings in my cluster. There are some best practices which I should improve, okay? For this quorum, I will try to improve in the next sessions, okay? So other parts seems okay. So I don't have any problems. I can go ahead and install SQL Server cluster.